Hello and welcome to the SEO plus AI show. My name is Josh Bashinsky. Today we have a very exciting show. We have How They Ranked, January 2024 edition of How They Ranked number one. We'll be showing you how they ranked number one using AI. With me as always, I have my co-host Greg Bassani. Say hi there, Greg.
Hey guys, how's everyone doing? How are you, Josh?
I'm doing well. So Greg and I run SEO Copilot. It is the best AI-based SEO tool that exists. It's because I've been doing SEO for 25 years, and we have very good engineering of how the AI works, both Google's AI, and I'm also an early adopter of GPT-3 and other NLP open source AIs and things of that nature. And we're using all that artificial intelligence of ideation, of iteration, this kind of next generation AI stuff to have built an AI tool. And I have a back-end access to the database of this AI tool, as you can imagine. And I can see how well people are ranking. I can see what they're doing. I can see how they rank. So I'm going to give you that knowledge today as a piece of positive proof of how good we are at what we're doing and how you need to do SEO. Whether you're using our tool or not, I can infer very interesting things like, is there such a thing as over-optimization? Is there such a thing as a penalty against AI content? Is there such a thing as under-optimization? Is there such a thing as the October-November updates? Is SEO harder since then? Is it harder to do SEO for information? Is it harder to do SEO for the transactional space? I'm talking about the sales search funnel now. Is it harder to do SEO for the navigational space or the sales space? Is it harder to do local SEO? Is it easier to do local SEO or global SEO or versus local SEO? How would you do all these things? I'm going to show you quite a bit of that today on how they ranked number one. So the SEO Copilot fourth quarter 2023, we do this every quarter and to show our stats of how well you can rank and also to show how you would rank and what you're doing and how the industry is changing. So we have really awesome data to show you, so let's dig into the data. So highlights, and for this quarter we had approximately 3,500 queries in total that our users have done, which is up from 1,500 from last quarter. So that's 3,500, approximately 3,500 and change, like 3,554, I think it was, queries of people trying to rank, search queries of people trying to rank. 3,500 rankings we're tracking, up from 1,500. We're up to 430 unique users using the system, which is up from 235. And they make an average of about 8 queries each. So the users are on average using 8 queries in the system. That tells you the system works. That tells you they're using it. That tells you that's what you should be doing, I think, in my opinion. On average, they're up 9 spots. Every single one of these 430 unique users is on average up 9 spots, approximately, over the entire user base. And that's good because that grew from last quarter. Last quarter, they were up 8 spots on average. Now they're up 9 spots on average. Last quarter, these 235 are up 8 spots on average. Now this quarter, the 430 users are up 9 spots on average. So isn't that awesome? SEO data. I can tell how well people are ranking. So it's not only awesome that they are ranking and that our system can rank you if you use it properly, which I'm going to be harping on today, but not only this, but that we have the data to show you. What other SEO tool has this other than a rank tracking software? What piece of SEO software that claims they will boost you or help you boost actually knows how well they're doing? I don't think there's any of them that know how well they're doing, quite frankly. It's all an anecdotal testimonial from 5 years ago or asking their user base, how well is it going? And 2 people answer, oh, not bad. Oh, I lost this ranking. That is not scientific. Right? That's not a system you want to use. That's kind of a joke, quite frankly. That's not a system you want to use. That's not anywhere you want to be for SEO. We have the brass kahunas to not only say we're making an SEO system that will boost you, but tracking that to make sure that it is true. Heaven forbid that we track this to make sure that it's actually true that we can boost you and we know exactly how we're boosting you and we can make improvements to it. I can't believe that I have to argue so hard for this every single year. An industry is not an industry unless it knows it's doing what it says it's going to do. If brain surgeons had no stats on how well brain surgery worked, that wouldn't be a job and they wouldn't be an industry. And so we are trying to make SEO, we're trying to make SEO great again. We're trying to make SEO an industry again, where we have some actual stats where we know how well you're actually ranking and how we're doing and we can make improvements. And more of those kinds of stats. For this quarter, here's the stats. We had those 430 users have a whopping 125 number one rankings. You heard me. Our 430 unique users have a whopping 125 rankings. That's a quarter of them have number one rankings, right? At the end of the day, that's a whopping 2,360% increase from last quarter. I will delete the usernames out of the Excel file and show you the Excel file if you want. If you don't believe me, I'll show you the proof. We have 125 number one rankings over 430 unique users, which is up a whopping 2,360% from last quarter. So if you're like, did SEO get harder from October on? We have a piece of evidence to suggest the exact opposite. That apparently it's easier, or at least using our system works. Whether using other people's systems work is remaining to be seen, and I have some comments in the data about that I'll get to in a second. But using our system, those 430 users have, on average, 125 number one rankings. That's on average. Every 1 in 4 is succeeding on average, and that's a 2,360% increase from last quarter. Those 430 users have 468 top 5 rankings. That's a huge 1,000% increase from last quarter. And that 430 users have 185 page one rankings, up by 147% from last quarter. So that's great. That's wonderful. It's nuts that we are getting this. It's nuts that we're tracking it. It shouldn't be nuts that we're tracking it and shouldn't be nuts that we're getting it, but it is because we know what we're doing, right? It's just crazy that I would be so bold as to tell you these stats because what other tool does? Ahrefs and SEMrush, they don't give two shits whether you rank, right? They don't care at all. They just want to sell you the tool and give you a bunch of data. And quite frankly, I would be suspect of any tool that doesn't give you the stats. If they track rankings, which they do, and they also give ranking boosts, they're supposed to give you ranking boosts, which they claim to do, well, then they should track the stats, and they should track how well their ranking boosts work versus the stats, as we can, but they don't. And quite frankly, they're using SEO techniques. The reason why they're not giving you stats is because they don't give boosts, quite frankly, in my opinion. I would challenge them to show the boosts that they're actually giving their customers. This is a public official challenge to SEMrush and Ahrefs to prove that they are giving users any boosts for the huge price ticket per month of $300, $400, $500 for these tools, to prove that they're actually giving their user base any boosts. This is a public challenge. I fully empower all of our listeners to challenge Ahrefs and SEMrush publicly. Josh Bashinsky says you don't give any boosts, show us the boosts, because he's showing his boosts. Why aren't you showing yours? It's a public challenge. I'm trying to stir up controversy here. I publicly challenge them to show the boosts that their users are getting from using their tool. And quite frankly, their keyword discovery, which is another thing that we do in the tool, is showing how difficult a niche is to rank in for SEO. We have a very advanced AI that does this. We used Ahrefs before, and they said keyword difficulty for, I can't remember what it was. I think it was stock photos.
It was some costume or something. Pirate
Halloween costumes. Yeah, Halloween costumes. Or pirate costume. Yeah, it was pirate costume.
Pirate. Yeah, pirate.
They said it was 8% difficult in their tool based on the links, because that's all their tool is based on is links, right? It's the only SEO factor they track is links. Our tool said it was like 40% tough niche, like 40% more difficult than any other SEO query, if I recall correctly. Our tool, our AI, is far more intelligent and does a far better job of actually assessing real SEO difficulty as compared to this joke, quite frankly, of what Ahrefs or SEMrush, I can't remember which one we checked, I think it was Ahrefs, did. Like, if you think it's only 8% difficult to rank for pirate costumes, you're going to go out of business. Like, if you're basing your pirate costume business on that, you're in some deep, deep trouble. So I really think it's a travesty that these other tools, they're not even AI tools, quite frankly, not really robust AI tools anyway. They're so far off the mark at 8% difficulty for that particular keyword, which is just an example of all their keywords, that they're not usable and they're going to ruin your business, quite frankly. So you need to go with a business that is going to give you the stats like we're giving you here. So that's how you rank number one. You use, first tip, you use an AI that actually tracks the rankings, knows what the rankings are, can machine learn what the rankings are, and can change in real time, which is where we're going with our tool. But right now, we just know what the ranking factors are because we've reverse engineered them. I run a secret mastermind group. But we also have this huge statistical correlative data for the last year of telling us what will rank you and what won't. And we're going to share a lot of those details with you today. Okay, so let's move on. So how did they do it, Josh? How indeed did they do it? Well, this is how they did it. 79% of the user base broke even or gained. And that is to say that Sheet, and I'll tell you what that is in a second, which is all the on-page factors, is not all the ranking factors. There's off-page factors too, of course. Sheet stands for keywords that you have to put on your page. Semantic keywords, which are like synonyms, things like that. Helpful keywords, which are like best this and tips for this. Those are kind of keywords that may or may not be keywords in your niche, but are what you need to put on your page. Because Sheet, which is based off the original Google Eat, are all keyword on-page factors. Did you know that? Hardly everyone knows this. They think it's just links. They think links, that's all it is. They're wrong. They're dead wrong. These are all on-page factors that you need to have on your page that our AI knows about. Semantic keywords, helpful keywords like tips or this, it depends on the niche. Experience keywords, like what does the experienced or expertise, what is the person with experience or expertise and authority that you should therefore trust, what do they talk about in your niche? It's different from niche to niche. You can't know this unless either A, you're an expert in that niche, or B, you have an AI that can do an analysis and check what that is. So if you want to rank for pirate costumes, but you don't know anything about pirate costumes because you're just an SEO, which is what happens 99% of the time, there's no way you can rank for this moving forward if you don't have the sheet, if you don't have an AI analyzing it for you. To say to talk and to walk the walk, to actually have the right keywords that you're going to need that need to go on your page, which also includes the trust keywords, authority keywords. What does someone in authority say? How do they talk about it? It's called entity vector. It's a real thing that you need to talk about, that experts talk about it saying this tag cloud, and everyone else talks about it with this tag cloud. You need to have the expert tag cloud. And you need the timeliness keywords too. Only our AI really tracks this because no one else is even on this level, because again, SEO is kind of a joke in the rest of the industry, quite frankly. It's not even an industry, as I said, because they can't track how well they do. They can't track an apples to apples factor to boosting capability. If you're like, I did 100 moves in the brain surgery and they died, I don't know which one killed them, or I did 100 moves in the brain surgery and they lived, I don't know which one saved them, that's not an industry, as I said. But that's exactly how the rest of SEO works right now. So I got to keep preaching this gospel because it's so important that this industry is dying. The snake oil industry is dying for SEO. It's the end of it trying to get their money at the last seconds. AI-based SEO that has used AI to analyze the actual ranking factors that boost you and can prove that they boost you and how much they boost you and what you need to do to boost you and track that is the future of this. And that's what you need to get on a tool with, like the SEO Copilot that Greg and I have built. And how they did it, this is how they did it. Their average predictability score is 4.1. Their ranking number one average semantic score is -4. And their page one semantic score difference is -2. Those are good examples of where they need to be. And you're like, okay, Josh, what does that mean? Average predictability is a proprietary score we have in our AI-based system, which basically tracks how many words on average do you have that are predictable. How predictable are your words on average? Because that will show, among many things, primarily it will show if you have AI-based content. And what is the ratio of how crappy the AI content is allowed to be? It's allowed to be, on average, 4 words in a row predictable. That's how crappy it's allowed to be. Or how bargain basement thin content of spinning, if you're doing any spinning content, or how bargain basement content of just writers who are just phoning it in and writing the bargain basement thin content. This is a quality measure as much as it is a tech SEO measure. So we can track this, and we track it, and last quarter it was 4.1, the quarter before that it was 4.1. This quarter, if you want to rank number one, it needs to be 4.1 as well. So we can track these kinds of things, and that's how they did it. They didn't have thin content, they had quality content. And what does quality content mean? It means a number of these things that we can track, but it means these specific things here specifically are the biggest ranking factors. The more you go over 4.2, the more you have 5 words on average that are predictable, 6 words on average are predictable, your rankings drop precipitously. So this is very important, and we're the only people who track this way. You need to be doing this. And that's how we know that you will get these rankings that we said before, is by having this. One major way. Another major way is the semantic score. The synonyms you're using, the entities you're using, they call it NLP entities. It's not NLP. Google doesn't use NLP as an AI. So why would you track NLP keywords? They track different things that we track because we actually took Google at face value. And they said, we have BERT, neural matching, and rank brain. And we're like, and query interpretation. We're like, okay, so we reverse engineered and remodeled and built actual models for you, a BERT model, a rank brain model of various types, neural matching models, and query interpretation models. And so we actually score those things and we actually rank you for those things. And we know for those semantic score of those AIs all together, we give a general score for them all together and individual scores as well. And the general score needs to be 1 to -10 beneath the competitors. You need to be in what we call the green zone or the Goldilocks zone. And ranking number 1 proved that again. They were, if the content scores on average for your competitors for those 4 AIs, rank brain, BERT, neural matching, and query interpretation, if those 4 AIs were the scoring for all of them comes up of scoring all these words at the end of the day, it scores words, what Google does, it scores words. If that scoring came up to be 50% for all your competitors on page 1, that means we've proven again 3 quarters in a row, we've proven to get the boosts, you need to be between 1 to -10. You need to be between 50 to 41 is where you need to be. Pretty much in the middle of that, at 45, is exactly the sweet spot of where you need to be. We've proven it 3 quarters in a row. And we're the only people who track it in the way that Google tracks it. I know that because otherwise we wouldn't have these results. We wouldn't have a 2,360% increase, or 1,000% increase, or 147% increase. Our user base wouldn't be growing if we couldn't rank people, right? And they wouldn't be making so many queries. The whole user base wouldn't be going up from quarter to quarter if we didn't know what we were doing. This is why and how we know what we're doing, because we know these numbers are correct and you need to follow them. And I know from looking at the people who failed, how they failed, they don't follow these. They're way off. They're way off these numbers. And I can see the vectorization. The more you approach this number, the better you rank. I can see it correlating clear as day in the data. The more you approach this number, the better you rank. The more you approach the Goldilocks zone, the more you rank. Although recently there was a very interesting correlative effect that you could be up to 2 points over and still rank pretty well. But still, the overwhelming data showed if you're 80 points over this, you're ranking terribly. The more 80 went down to between -1 and -9, the better you ranked. And it was a screaming, obvious correlative signal in the data. I know this for a fact with a capital F. So it doesn't matter if you're using our system or not. This is a way of tracking every web page that ranks. You could just use our system to do audits, and we're building an automated audit system the next couple of months. You can already go into the editor and just paste a web page in and check it, whether our system made it or not, and use it as an audit system, and then give that report back to clients and charge them $100 for it. And it took 5 minutes of work, right? Or you can make a much better report or audit using our system as well, with actual data that you know is going to boost them, because I have the data and I'll show it to you if you want to see it. It just has customer emails and the queries in it. I'd have to strip that out. But if you want to just see the numbers, I could show you the numbers. So this is how they did it, guys. This is how they did it. This is how they ranked number 1. These 125 number 1 rankings, a whopping 2,000% increase from last quarter in our system because our user base increased and their spots increased on average, was gotten because they didn't make too many predictable words. They didn't do thin content. They didn't do predictable words in order. And their semantic score, they didn't over-optimize or under-optimize. They used the right synonyms and the right metonyms and the right AI keywords that show that they're helpful, that they have experience, they have expertise, they have authority, they have trust, and they're talking about it like experts talk about it. They're saying the right words, they're talking the talk, and they're timely. And those scores came up to -1 to -9. Mostly the semantic scores. The predictability and the semantic scores, correlatively speaking, correlate with the rankings like 99%, whereas the heat score doesn't score as much. Our spam scores, not as much yet, but next quarter, we added a new spam score in our system, and I'll be tracking that as well. I'll also be tracking the tests people do. I'll have much more data to show you by spring. By spring, I'll have so much more data to show you. But this is enough data right now. This is 80% of ranking right here. Making sure you have this number and this number. That's it. That's it. So that's fantastic. Let me show you some more data as well. Now let's look into the losses. Let's look into the losses. And I'm perfectly upfront that there was losses. I'm going to show them to you here. 35 out of the 3,500 queries fell off page 1. They had a page 1 ranking, and they fell off. So out of 3,500, only 35 were blown off the SERP. Like a lot of people were blown off the SERP with the October 7th update and November updates. Only 1% of our query base were blown off the SERP. 35 of them. And I checked each and one of them. And I can tell you right now, they didn't have these. They were way off on this number, and they were way off on this number. They were way high on this number, and they were way under or over on this number. They were making obvious made for SEO, that's OM4 SEO, obviously made for SEO content that did not serve the query intent. And their stats were all over the place. They're under-optimized or over-optimized. So I'll tell you right now how they failed, and very few of them did, only 1%, were blown off the SERP. They had number 1 and they're gone. It's because they were making obvious made for SEO content. Even if they were in these numbers, they weren't serving the query intent as well as their competitors, and they were not spending as much time as maybe one ought to or could to do the SEO. And that's Google's. Google's ramping up the difficulty every month of what kind of quality you need to produce. That's why we made the spam score the only AI tool that is white hat and gives you a spam score. We're a fully white hat tool that gives you a spam score that will tell you whether you're being spammy or not, so you don't have to worry about it. Like, how spammy is spammy exactly, Josh? How lazy can I be making these pages? I'll tell you exactly with the spam score and the heat score. And so I could see very clearly in the data why, and this was the more important part, if you don't have this, and you don't have this, and you're doing this, you're going to lose. And if you're not sure what that means, I can show you exactly in the tool. Email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. I'll show you exactly in the tool how this works. We'll give you a demo. We'll show you how this can work for your agency. We'll show you how this can work for your consulting for your clients or your in-house job. We can show you how this will work for sure. 755 had losses overall. So out of 3,500 queries, 755 of them had losses. They lost 1 spot to 99 spots. And they averaged 25 spot loss. So what is that in the database there? What is 755 divided by 3,554? 21% of the user bases had losses out of the whole user base. So that's not too bad. That's why, of course, 79% broke even or gained. 21% had losses, and they lost 25 spots each. That's pretty effing good. What other SEO system can brag that they have 80% breaking even or boosting and only 21% losses? That's pretty good, right? 208 maintained their position, which is neither here nor there. It's still pretty good, actually, that we have maintaining positions. That's like 8% of the database. And here's an interesting stat. However, 1550 never even got indexed. They had a new page that was ranking at 100, and they're still ranking at 100, what our system says. So some of that means not even indexed. So at worst, that's a 44% non-indexation rate. That means most of our pages get indexed. So new pages from nowhere to ranking is 56%. From nowhere to ranking is 56% or better. This is the at-worst stat. I'm being really tough on us here. 44% might be ranking at spot 100. There's no discriminator in our system. They might be ranking somewhere, but not enough. They're ranking at spot 50 one day, and then it leaves. That's better than nowhere at all. That would also seem like a non-ranking in our system as well. So at worst, it's 44%, which means it's still a positive thing. 56% of our pages, if not better, are getting good rankings, are getting boosts. They're not staying the same. 208 maintaining position is included here in the never getting indexed because that's 100 to 100. It's just ranked that way in my data. And I checked to see why that is. And again, I could see exactly why it is. These scores are way off. And they have really thin pages that are really obviously made for SEO, kind of just trying to grab rankings, thin kind of garbage pages. And they're not serving the query intent. They don't have the sheet. They don't have the words to prove that they're being helpful on their page. They don't have the words to prove that they have any experience in the topic. They don't have the words to prove they have any expertise in the topic. They don't have the words to prove on the page that they can speak authoritatively about the topic. And they don't have the words to show that they should be trusted or timely. So that's how they ranked number 1, guys. It's very simple. Use our system and get within these numbers, and use our new spam system as well. Obviously make it for SEO. Make sure you have the sheet. Make sure your heat score doesn't have any 6 out of 10s. The lowest score there is a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. I just ranked a page today with a heat score of 81. I came in at spot number 12 for a link building query. Fairly difficult. I'm still trying to boost it up. I might want to profit off it, so I'm not sure I want to show it to everybody. So I don't want people trying to do negative SEO to it. I might try to actually profit off it and get link building customers. But I'm ranking at number 12 for a top level link building query using our system, and more or less in these numbers, but I had a really high heat score. And I didn't have any 6 out of 10 heat scores. I had 7 or 8 or 9 out of 10 actually. And I'm giving them the tips. I'm talking about it authoritatively. I'm showing I have expertise and experience. I'm making it helpful. Helpful is so important because Google has automated all their quality raters. They're laying off all their quality raters and their manual team, and they're having AI determine what is helpful content, what has quality content as far as a rater is concerned, and what is better serving the query intent. I used our AI systems, and I did a little bit more SEO on top of it. It took me about an hour to do the page with the AI system. That would have taken me 10 hours without the AI system. And I got ranking number 12. No links right off the bat. Boom. That query alone could make me thousands of dollars per month, easily, which is why I'm thinking I might not want to share it. I might just want to profit off it. But we'll see. So Marcin asks, the average semantic score. What is that again? The average semantic score is the content score in the editor. The semantic score is this one here. So this needs to be in range. This is why this page didn't rank, because it's not in range. And it has quite a high spam score as well. This is our new spam score. You see it's got a red exclamation mark here for you to check it out. The URL is a little spammy. The title is a bit spammy in that it's just way too small. The meta description is a bit spammy. And here, the main content is a bit spammy as well, giving it an overall spam score, which is way too high compared to the competitors, right? And the heat score is higher than competitors, but still, there's a 6 out of 10 here with, does the content provide insightful analysis or interesting information that's beyond the obvious? You got to be more than a 6 out of 10 here. You got to be more than a 6 out of 10 here. Or is it mass produced? 6 out of 10? Got to be more than that. Is it made to attract search engines? You got to be 8 or 9 out of 10 here. You got to really convince the AI that you have more helpfulness here. But this is the semantic score, and this is the predictability score. So it's good. It's in the green. It's 407. And this is the semantic score you need to be between. That correlates to this. This is the semantic score, this one here. This is the predictability score, this one here. Okay, so here's a question. Did SEO get a bit harder post-October? And the answer is lazy SEO? Yes. If you're not serving the query intent, and if you have obviously made for SEO content, SEO did get harder for you. Up till October 7th, 287 or 19% lost an average of 18 spots. Till now, that 755 that I mentioned, 21% lost an average of 25 spots. They lost an average of more of 7 spots. So yes, that's showing that SEO got harder post-October. However, those who follow these examples and did get boosts in rankings and followed these scores, those who ranked do rank better. The average boost from October to now was 10 spots. You remember the overall boost is only 9 spots, up from 8 spots in spring to October. Now, October to November is up 10 spots. It's better than those other stats. And it keeps getting better. November to November was up on average 11 spots. December to now was up on average 12 spots. Every month, those people who are ranking better are ranking more better every single month. From October to November, from November to now, from December to now. They're getting better. From December to now, there was 23 page did not exist to spot number 1 rankings. 23 mega successes, not just page 1 rankings. 23 the page did not exist to spot number 1 rankings, which I think is pretty good. And you might be like, that's not very good, Josh. Out of 3,500 users, you only have 23 from nowhere to number 1. And I would say, how would you know? Show me the stats that says that's bad. They don't exist. You can't contradict me here if you don't have any stats. You can't contradict me here if you have a from the hip, well, I do better. Well, good for you. The rest of SEO doesn't. I have the stats to prove it. Show me. Show me the stats. Show me the science, right? That's what I'm talking about. It's not an industry. It's a bunch of people selling snake oil and blowing smoke up your ass. That's not an industry. Show me the stats. Prove it to me. Because no one else shows any stats, this is the de facto standard. 23 to number 1 is the standard of excellence in SEO because it's the highest number anyone can actually show. And I bet you if you ask these other tools, do you do that well? They'll go, I don't know. And anyone who does know will check to see December to November, the percentage of their user base getting nowhere to number 1. Our percentage is 23 divided by 33454. That is 0.006%. Their stats, I bet, are not going to be that high. Or if they are, prove it. Prove it. And then I'll make my stats better every month and we'll see if your stats are going up or down. Remember, we only have a user base of 430 users who are mostly at a more entry-level, low-level SEO base. If Ahrefs and SEMrush comes out with giant agencies making millions per month on SEO, with all the money in the world to buy links and to buy everything else they need to buy, if they come out and they're like, well, our stats are better. Okay, well, of course they are. You have the top SEO people in it. Not that our SEO people aren't good. I have very good SEO people in it, but we're an entry-level product. We just have 430 users. We're just getting started, right? But they don't even have the stats to prove it. So I challenge them right now that between December and now, over Christmas, where people are not doing a lot of work either over the holidays, 23 from nowhere to number 1 is pretty not bad. 61 from nowhere to page 1 is not too bad. The lost rankings of the previous quarter were approximately 19%. People who lost rankings this quarter is only 12%. Our numbers are getting better, where SEO is getting harder for everybody else. But wait, there's more. You're like, okay, Josh, but let's dig into the data more and find out, is there specific things they're doing wrong other than what you said of not following the key metrics? Yes, there is. There's specific industry-wide things I can show you. Let me get into it. So losses and gains based on the query type versus the date. So head terms. Now, what's a head term? A head term is is defined as a 2-word query. So 2 words or less are a head term query they're trying to rank for, like pirate costumes would be a head query. They gained on average approximately 4 spots overall. That's 6 spots November on. That's up 4 spots from the last quarter. Last quarter was 2. So for the whole existence of our tool, people got on average 4 spots boost for head terms. And that's up 6 spots since November on this quarter. And it was only 2 spots up from the last quarter. Everything's getting better. What about long tail? Well, long tail, which is 3+ words in the query, like best pirate costumes or best pirate costumes for 2024, those will all be good examples of long tail queries. Anything that's 3+ words, they got on average 10.5 growth overall. They're up 13 spots since November on, and that's up 5 spots from last quarter, which was on average 7 spots higher. So that's pretty nuts. Long tail is doing better than head terms, which makes sense. Long tail is usually easier to rank for than head terms are. So that makes sense. But we are still getting ranking boosts overall for head terms. And they're not dropping, they're boosting. Okay, what about information versus local? Well, global information queries were up 11 spots since November on. That's up plus 8 spots on average since the last quarter, which was 3.4. In October, we were up on average for global queries, up 3.4 across the whole user base. Now we are up 11 spots since November for the whole user base. And for local queries, we're up 9.81 spots since November for this quarter. That's up slightly since last quarter. It was 9 spots. So we're still getting a 0.81 increase or a 1 spot increase from last quarter to this quarter for local queries. And that's because they did a lot of local updates. So that's interesting. We're doing better for info queries and we're doing worse in that we didn't give as many boosts. We're still giving boosts, but we didn't give as many boosts from last quarter to this quarter for local as compared to global informational queries. Why is that? Local queries tend to be easier to rank for, a lot of them, except for very competitive niches like law niches, plumbing niches, payday loan niches that are local. locksmith niches that are local. They're all very difficult and on the same difficulty level as, say, some informational queries, in my experience. But most local queries are usually easier in general than global queries. Although that's something I can tell you next quarter as well. I'll have data and stats on keyword difficulty and keyword revenue as well. I'll be able to share with you next quarter that nobody else can share with you or will share with you. We already have the data in keyword discovery in our tool. I'll share generalized data for you next quarter as well. But why is this? Well, I think it's because Google made a bunch of releases that if you have really like bad local content that's obviously made for SEO, that's not serving the query intent, that can happen. And it's not necessarily people's fault who work in local. It's some SEO's fault. SEOs should know better. But if you're new to the industry, even if you're in SEO, it's not really your fault. You didn't know, you just thought you read some crappy blog, because it's not an industry, it's snake oil. You read some crappy blog and they said, oh yeah, just make this kind of crappy location page. So you did, and it didn't work. And so you didn't get as many gains as we are in global informational queries, which tends to be maybe more agencies and maybe a little bit more robust because you can make more money here usually on average, which I know for a fact because I have the data. I'll share that with you in spring. Or you could see the data immediately if you go and use our tool. And I think it's because people who are doing local stuff, they're not SEOs, right? They do landscaping, they do stuff like that, they do roofing, they do local services. Hey, I'm not shitting on you guys at all. It's not your fault. Right? SEO is hard. Just like people shouldn't do roofing on their own or people shouldn't do landscaping on their own, they should hire a professional, I'm sure you would say. They shouldn't do plumbing on their own, they should hire a professional, or electrical work on their own, they should hire a professional. I'm sure those people would say, you need to hire an SEO. You shouldn't be doing SEO on your own. It's something that's difficult enough, considering the low indexation rate here, for example. It's something difficult enough that you need a real SEO to do it, and they nearly need to know what they're doing and make sure they're using our tool correctly to get these kinds of boosts, to make sure they have these kinds of scores to get these kinds of boosts. And they have to avoid making obvious lazy for SEO and making sure they're serving the query intent. And then I can prove to you, you will get the boosts month after month. It's getting better and better if you're doing the right stuff. So I think that's the reason why. And I'm not harping on you guys at all. I'm not shitting on you guys at all. The roofers and whatnot who are trying to do SEO on their own, you need to actually use a tool that will help you do it. So use our tool and make sure you're in the green. And our tool needs to do a better job of being annoying and saying, hey, you're not in the green. This is not going to work. We know for a fact it's not. We have the stats to prove it. Please be in the green. We can't hold a gun to your head. We can't make you be in the green and follow the rules. You could do whatever you want, but we can make it really annoying and red flashing things. And hey, look at this. It's spammy. Like I showed you. That's all we can do, right? And so if you follow our stats, you will get boosts. If you don't, you're not gonna. And so this number, I want to see go up. I want to see people using that tool. I want to see people being in the green and using the tool. And I want to see this number go up next quarter is what I want to see. I'm hoping our tool will be annoying enough, not so annoying that it turns you off the tool, but annoying enough that you follow the recommendations, that our SEO Copilot, which is like our AI buddy who's helping you do this, that's what we mean, SEO Copilot. More and more the Copilot is going to do this for you automatically and show you and point to things and be like, dude, you need to take care of this, my friend. That's what a Copilot does. That's what our tool is going to do for you. It's going to make SEO automatic. It's going to make SEO automatic for you so that a roofer could do SEO, or at least on-page SEO. And then you might need to hire an SEO to do the off-page SEO stuff that you need to do. We can automate fully the on-page process. We can automate that fully. That is our goal for this year. Get in on our grandfathered price before the price goes up. It's $144 per month for the grandfathered price. Get in on the grandfathered price. The $54 a month introductory price is only for 10 pages. So, it's really just if you're just doing only like one client, you only have a few pages per month you need to do, then that will work for you. The $144 per month is our rock solid grandfather price that will always have some reasonable amount of credits. We'll try to make it reasonable and we'll give you what you need moving forward. All right, so that's very interesting data that global went up much more than local. I know why that is. I think I've told you why that is. I want to see this go up next quarter. Let's see if anybody has any questions. Marcin says, you have to be very careful with over-optimization, especially with AI generating articles in languages other than English. Yeah, you definitely do. In every language, you have to be careful with over-optimization. And those specific stats that I showed you, these ones here, these are the ones you need to follow. This one and this one are the ones you need to follow for sure. And then the heat score and the spam score that I showed you, which is coming up here, this spam score, this is going to be a very important one as well. I suspect this spam score is going to be very important for this next quarter into coming to spring for 2024. Marcin says, sometimes conjunctions can be as SEO caloric as keywords. The Copilot point this out very well, though. Yep, you're right. Sometimes stop words have a high score, but that's on purpose. And I just finished telling my mastermind group this. Guys, don't go and downvote. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't worry, and then you don't have to worry about it. But for those guys who are going into Keyword Spy and you're going into the reports and you're going over here, and RankBrain is giving a high score to some of these stop words. There are no such thing as stop words anymore. Google has stopped using stop words. For query interpretation, stop words are very important. And for these BERT and RankBrain, the stop words are very important. For neural matching, they're not. And for TW BERT, the stop words can be very important as well. They get scored out naturally when you do the default testing. So you don't need to worry about it. Just do the default testing and you will have the test that will be fine. The score will be fine and you'll move forward. It'll all be fine. But let's say, for example, some of these stop words are scored really high. Do not go in here and downvote them because it's going to mess up your content score. You don't want to hack our system. You want to hack Google's system. And our stats clearly show you need to be in this Goldilocks zone, or maybe 1 or 2 points higher would be fine. That's what it shows. You definitely don't want to be under it. Under it is even worse than being over it in terms of under-optimizing, believe it or not, is even worse than over-optimizing. Clearly shown in the stats. Clearly shown. 99% sure of that. Marcin also asks, do you want to have sheet as high as possible? Correct? Yes. Well, heat, yes. The heat score, you want to be as high as possible. Specifically, you want to clean up any 6s here. You don't want any 6s, especially when it shows 6 for this one. Is it insightful? Is it just made for SEO? Is it mass produced? That's not what you want it to say. I've learned statistically, you want this to be over a 6. You want it to be 7 or higher. So we're going to show that better in a better score for you coming up. Like, hey, did you know this is a 6 and this is a 6 and this is a 6? It doesn't really matter what this global score is at the end of the day. It matters if you're getting any 6s. That's what we're going to show here in the future. Marcin says, so maximal semantic score plus maxed out sheet. Got it. Exactly, Marcin. You're exactly correct. Now, also, since November onwards, now pay close attention because this is the first time we're seeing any drops in these different segments. For no, do, or do, what does this mean? This is the sales and search funnel. The sales and search funnel is the journey the user takes. There's informational queries they ask here, like what are pirate costumes? There's transactional queries or no-do queries they ask here, like what are the best costumes, pirate costumes for 2024? And then there's sales queries like buy pirate costume. And that is the process the user takes. Google calls it, this is informational, no. This is transactional, no do. And do is sales-based. That's what Google calls it, no, do, and do. They want to know something, they want to know and do something, or they want to do something. That's what Google calls it. And for the first time here, this is the first segment that we're seeing us slightly down. On average, since November, we're getting plus 10 spots on no queries, but that's slightly down from the last quarter when we were up 10.8. We're down 0.8 on informational queries for this quarter. So that's because in October, queries got harder. And that's also because because a bunch of Your Money, Your Life or quality queries are in the informational space where people are learning about things, about finances and about health. Google is a bit more stringent there, that you're not making spam. So it's called YMYL, Your Money or Your Life. It used to be called that. Google has a new name for it, but I can't remember what it is. Also, that's where the quality raters, which are now AI-based, are doing a lot of work in that knowledge space here. So that's why it's a little bit down, because it's getting way harder just to make informational pages. It's sites that are in the informational space that are getting eaten up by generative search as well. And also that Google puts a much higher restriction on in terms of you really have to be high quality. So that's down 0.8 spots, not even a full spot. It's down 0.8 spots, but it's down. It's the only one. It's one of the only ones that is down. Also, no-do queries. We are up on average 10 spots which is way up from last quarter. But on average, there's no boosts, right? We were up 10 spots from last quarter, so we were way down last quarter, but on average, there's still no boosts for no-do. They're down 0.18. So that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That we're getting way better, but still we're not seeing boosts in it. We're down 0.2 on average. Some people are seeing crazy boosts, don't get me wrong. But we're down 0.2 on average across the board, across all 3,500 queries for no-do queries, which is interesting. Now, how many no-do queries were there in the full 3,500? Very little. Interestingly, the vast majority of the queries in our system were do queries, were sales-based queries. And they were up plus 11 spots, which is up around 6 spots from last quarter, which was 5.27. So up to October, our do queries on average had a boost of 5 spots. From October on, now November on, they have a boost of 11 spots on average. So we're doing way better in sales queries, which makes sense because that's where all the money is. That's where all the good money queries are, is in the sales queries. And our SEOs are doing predominantly, like 90% of those 3,500 queries were all do queries. So the SEOs are focusing on the money, which is good, the good queries. And they're avoiding the info queries and the blog trap queries, which are getting harder to rank for, which is a good thing. And that's because we have a really good keyword discovery process and a really good keyword discovery AI, which will tell you, let me show it to you here, which will tell you which searches make the most money, right? Which searches are making money and which searches are not, and therefore where you should maybe spend your time. Like you have to decide, should I rank for LAX parking or Newark airport parking? Well, LAX makes way more money on average, and this is an apples to apples comparison. Now, this is not a promise you'll make this much per month. This is a raw guesstimate of an apples to apples comparison of how much money is behind this query behind this query. And then you could check to see, okay, how difficult is it to rank for LAX parking? Well, it looks like, well, this is a bad example because they won't show this for search, but here's Park and Fly, or let's look at this one, LAX parking lot is an average difficulty. It makes 3,000 per month on average. It's up this year, but it's got a low conversion rate. So this is an only 1-for-2 ratio we're doing, which is actual science. That's actually proven by the Google economist that for every $1 on average people spend on AdWords, they make 2. So we use a 1-to-2 ratio when the competition is low, and we use a 30% of this divided by 5% conversion rate, which is a little bit higher, 30% of a 5% conversion rate. So 5.75% conversion rate, because this is up this year, to get around $3,000 a month on average, which we have people who work in this niche and they know that that's fairly accurate. It might be a bit low, in fact. And it's only average difficulty to rank for, which we have a robust AI looking at different stats that has a much brand awareness and whatnot, whether they have the on-page done or not, that gives you a very accurate idea of how hard it is to rank for this. It is 8% easier than every niche online, than every niche in our database, which is tens of thousands of niches at this point. Millions, probably, of niches online. We have that information. Nobody else does. So our users are using it to vastly rank for do queries, which are typically the ones that make more money, quite frankly. Money, like I'll show you the niches that make money. Usually the do queries that are in Google Ads, like buy Google Ads, a lot of money there. Buy advertising, a lot of money there. AI has a lot of money behind it. Midjourney consultant, do Midjourney for me, has a lot of money behind it. Products, buy this product, buy that product, has a lot of money behind it. Parking overall as a niche has a lot of money behind it. How to get parking, business services, Dyson Airwrap, other products. That's where we're having money, guys. Drug rehab, I need drug rehab, gets a lot of money. Mesothelioma lawyer, a lot of money. That's where there's a lot of money. Finding the niches that are easiest to rank for, where there's a lot of money, and getting rankings is the name of the game and what you want to do. So that's it. The stats are awesome. The stats are amazing. Greg, if you have any final comments on that, let me know while I check to see if there's any final questions.
Oh, so cool. Love to see the data. Very helpful, I'm sure, for people to, not only just consume it, understand it, but learn more of what we're about. So I do love that approach that you're taking. And hopefully it catches on. Like I'd love to see someone put this into a white paper or PDF. Like, this should be discussed and talked about by other SEOs if they're truly in it and want to learn and get better. It's like, well, here's real data. This is something we can talk about and discuss and debate, as opposed to just like, oh, well, this does this or this does that. I think so because, no, this is like real science, real data that we can debate over and talk about. And that's kind of cool. And I think this needs to get out there more, and hopefully it does. So nice job.
For sure. I totally agree. Good job, folks, that you got the rankings. There's a couple of last questions here. The Furman, hey, Furman, how you doing? Says, not used Search Console for a while for keyword ideas and keyword discovery. I just noticed a wide net and focused. Is there any advantage to choose one over the other? Yeah, what you're talking about there is some people like to do really focused and they don't want to eat up their credits. Other people like to cast a wide net to find which keywords are making money here and what the difficulty is. So if you go focused, it's only going to do what you put in here. If you do wide net, it's going to do what you put in here plus the initial comeback from Google Ads. If you do wide net, our AI is going to extend that maybe by 100 or even 1,000 times and give you way more keyword ideas to cast the widest net possible to find what makes the most money and also is the easiest at the same time. Steven says, should articles have table of content links at the top? That's a great question, Steven. Email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com and we could talk about that. Marcin says, can we get an in-depth live on how to analyze the reports? Let me know what you mean by reports, which report you're talking about. I guess you mean these reports here in Keyword Spy. I presume you're talking about here. I presume you mean these reports here to understand the results. I've gone through them a whole bunch of times in previous videos. I'd be happy to go through them again if that's what you're talking about.
Just go to the website and go under video tutorials. It's older, but it definitely goes through all the neural matching, rank brain, BERT, and the results and the competitors tab. There's really good like short clips you can click on and see. So just check out the website under tutorials or video tutorials. Even though it's outdated, look wise, the content's there.
Yeah, it's the same science. It's the same underlying science. Which we've been using the entire time, which again comes from my mastermind group, my underground SEO university. The Furman says, I just noticed the new reports page table, big changes. Yeah, definitely big changes. Michael says, hi Josh, I have a question. No problem, Michael, go ahead and ask. He says, for EAT, should we ask ChatGPT to write or rewrite the content to be helpful? Michael, let me tell you, you cannot use ChatGPT to write your content. Cannot. It's not going to have the stats that I showed you need to have. It's not going to have the scores I showed you that you need to have right out of the box. And no, it definitely will not have the experience you need. You need to have a complex AI, which is analyzing things that the way we're doing it, to have the most up-to-date, experienced expertise, authority, and trust. Our high-quality article does that to some degree, to a great degree, a very good degree, and you just have to massage it a little bit after that. We also have separate AIs on the side here. Let me show you. So in Keyword Spy, here in the editor, you can generate article. You can generate article and use the high quality article, and it will use up-to-date quality information. That's going to give you a pretty good heat score. But also here under content, we have the helpful content update where you can jam this information in, and it'll auto-write that for you. And the product review AI, it'll write that for you as well and put that in. The high quality article will do a lot of that as well, but you can just do sections based as well here. That's what you need to make sure you have the EAT. The sheet, you need the full sheet as well. You need the semantic keywords and the helpful keywords as well. It's not just about EAT. It's about helpful as well, and it's about quality review as well. It's about the spam score as well. You need all that stuff. ChatGPT does not do this for you out of the box. It cannot do it for you. You will not succeed if you're using ChatGPT for your SEO. Maybe one person somewhere did it once and it worked once. Show me the stats is what I say, and nobody has the stats on that because it's a fly-by-night, cheapy, free thing. It's not going to work. I have dozens of emails from people emailing me over the months saying, Josh, my SEO has failed. What were you doing? Well, I was using ChatGPT. That's one of the things I do that fails all the time. Do not do that. Marcin says, keyword reports, all the data that the system uses to produce scores. Yeah. So go ahead, watch the tutorials. We have that. He says, thanks, Greg. Michael says, plus, what other things should we ask ChatGPT to include in the article to be what Google wants to be helpful content? You can't ask ChatGPT to do it. You can't do it in a single prompt. It's not smart enough. You need to have multiple AIs, as we do, with multiple prompts and multiple things going on. Not all of them are prompting AIs either. We reverse engineer all kind of AIs that are not large language models. You need to have all of that in the robust system. If it was as simple as going into ChatGPT and just doing that, we wouldn't have spent hundreds of thousands of dollars building this tool, right? There's a reason why we did this. I would just have tutorials on how to do this, and then I would just be upselling consulting, if that's how easy it was. That's not my business model, because that business model is dead, right? ChatGPT is over. You can't, it doesn't work. You can't ask it for stock tips. You can't ask it what crypto to buy. It'll tell you and it'll be wrong. It just doesn't know, right? It's dangerous in that regard. You can't ask it how to do SEO. It's specialist knowledge you should never trust to a dumb AI. You need to trust a robust AI system that has been specifically crafted and constructed and engineered by professionals who've been doing SEO for as long as it's been around and been doing large language models as long as they've been around. That's me. There's nobody else out here doing this, right? It takes hundreds of thousands of dollars to make it work. So trust me, we wouldn't have spent that money if we didn't need to. Michael says, is this Keyword Spy article writing feature available for what you're offering on AppSumo? No, it is worth far more than that. AppSumo deal was great in getting users and helping people out. It's bad for our company in one way, in that it made people think that AI should be cheap. It's not. It took hundreds of thousands of dollars to do it. The knowledge we've put in there can make you literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a month if you're on the right keyword. Not releasing it for any cheaper than we already have. Probably should already up the prices. Sorry, that's the way it is. That's how much SEO costs. So if you can't afford it, go get a job somewhere. Sorry, that's the way that it is. I know I'm sounding drastic, but I'm doing this tough love to help you. If you do SEO the cheap way, and you think that free is going to work for you, you're going to waste 3 to 6 months of your life, and you're going to be that much sadder and that much poorer at the end of it. Listen to what I'm saying. You cannot do cheapy free SEO. I'm sorry. I know everyone wants to. I know you want it to work. I know you're behind the 8 ball. I'm sorry. It just does not work that way. They're lying to you. Anyone who said it does, the industry is, except for me and Greg, is full of a bunch of snake oil assholes who are just trying to grab your money on the way out. Like tobacco and like oil, who knows they're on the way out, or tobacco is not on the way out at all. They're up now, even though everyone knows from the 90s you're not supposed to smoke. Tobacco is like, well, just wait. And then they're getting people to smoke and give them cancer again. Oil knows they're on the way out. They're just trying to gouge us with high oil prices and whatnot because they know they're on the way out, right? That's what the SEO industry is. The snake oil, you could do it for free. Just make crap content. SEO is on the way out. I'm sorry, man, that's just not the way it works. I know it's not what you want to hear. It's not the way it works. Our tool at minimum is $54 a month. If you can't afford that, then you do not have the money to do SEO, because you got to buy links too, and you got to buy other stuff too. So if you didn't have that money earmarked to do SEO, you just do not have the business. You do not have the money to start up that business. Every business has startup capital required. You can't do SEO for free. You cannot. Even if you weren't paying us for the on-page stuff, and you want to spend 100 hours to do 3 pages a month and put in that sweat equity, fine. I don't know how you're going to do the AI testing that we do. It's impossible. It's just impossible. You cannot do SEO successfully without our tool. You cannot. Again, I would not have built it if we didn't need it. Our university needed it, and so we bit the bullet and built it. We know how to rank, right? I showed you the stats. If you're doing SEO for a giant brand, yeah, you can do SEO for free. That's the 1%, right? I'm going to take a page out of Bernie Sanders' playbook. That's the 1%. The 1% can do SEO for free. Those are the only guys who can do it for free. Everybody else, us, needs to pay money to do it. It's a pay-to-play club. You pay Google their exorbitant Google AdWords rate, or you pay a tool like us and a university to learn how to do it. That's how you have to do it. You can't be an electrician for free. You got to pay someone. And you use tools. You don't take the wires and stick it on your tongue to see if there's a current. You use a multimeter. You have to buy a multimeter, an expensive one. If you don't have the money for that, you can't be an electrician. I'm sorry, you can't. So I hope that makes sense at least, whether you like me still, I don't know. But I hope that makes sense. I'm trying to be truthful with you. I'm the only guy in the industry who tells the truth. Michael says, is the only way to write articles like you are suggesting with the Keyword Spy article writing features? No, you can handwrite it and check the stats if you want to spend 10 hours writing it, and you better have the expertise and spend another 10 hours doing the research. What do arborists really know? Who are they? What do they know? What are the real 50 years of experience tips that the 50-year experienced arborist knows? You need to put that on your page. Are you a 50-year experienced arborist? No. Is your client that? Probably not. Then how are you going to put it on your page? Unless you do research, unless you have your writer doing 10 hours of research, finding this out, then another 10 hours to write the page, or you could click it and have it done in 5 minutes in our app. Your choice. I took an hour to do this last page. I manually selected the helpful content ones I wanted to do and the product review content I wanted to do, and then I had the AI rewrite it, and then I'd use our featured snippet thing, and I put it in there. I'll be doing a tutorial for you guys soon, once we get the spam thing working a little bit better and the UI skinned. But yeah, it took me an hour tops. And I wrote an article that had such a high heat score. They were 8s and 9s. The spam score is a little high because I went a little aggressive. I'm testing something. But the heat score was like 89. All the spam scores were, all the heat scores were 8 to 9s out of 10. And it ranked 12, 4 days. No links on a pretty competitive keyword in the SEO niche, mind you. So if you email me, maybe I'll show it to you. Very observant watchers of the show may have noticed what it was because I sadly had it up on my screen. So if you really want to know, you can go back and maybe search and find what's going on there. But I might want to make money off it. So please don't negative SEO. Please don't do anything to it. I want to try to make some money off it, maybe, possibly. Or I could share it, one or the other. But it was a test of the tool and the tool works. So I know the tool works because I see the stats. I don't have to test it. I see the stats. I don't have to do it myself. I see everyone else doing it. So I hope that helps out. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Marcin says, I cannot remember the last time I bought links, and he has a winky face. So I suppose the winky face means that you still have to buy some links, or acquire them anyway. Links aren't the only off-page signal. There's other off-page signals. You actually don't need links necessarily, or a lot of them. But they are definitely still a signal. I will fully admit, links are a signal. And you need to do it right, and spam. There's a lot of spam algos there that are going to nail you if you don't do it right. So there's definitely stuff to do there. All right, guys. So I hope you enjoyed the show. That's how you rank #1, and you're only going to get the truth from us. So I should slide off here before I pass out from being short of breath with this chest infection I have. So that's Josh and Greg signing off. Thanks a lot, guys, for watching. Again, you want to try it out? Try it for free. SEOcopilotai.com. It is the best SEO system. Get in on it while the price is low and no one has noticed yet. We haven't even done top of funnel yet. We haven't even put money to advertising yet. And we've been growing every month, save Christmas. We had a bit of a dip because of Christmas. Get in on it now, guys, because the price is going to go up. A system that does all your on-page for you automatically and actually can rank you, yeah, that's worth a bit more than $144 per month, so the price is going to go up. Get in on it now. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. Get in on it now. Greg and I know the quality of what we've made and where it's going to be in a year. We see the stats, we see things going up. We know we've got the right stuff here. I hope you guys see it too. I hope you value the stats that we're showing you as well. All right, guys, well, we've got to run. So thanks very much for watching. Email me any questions. If you have any questions at all, if you want to join Underground SEO University or just ask me any more SEO questions, I'm happy to help you out. Email me at joshbashinsky@gmail.com. That's Josh, B as in Bob, ACH, Y as in YouTube, N as in Nancy, SKA@gmail.com, and I'll help you out with any SEO questions. And until next time, we'll see you then.